Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. K speaking again. I would just like to come out with an idea. It's called the magnetized program proximity grid. Basically, there's two sets of ideas which I developed in 2019. The first idea, we could have electromagnetic rods laced with glycerite and other magnetic properties of metal combined with a strong metal, composite metal, alloy probably, or a combined metallic structure laced with glycerite, the high concentration of glycerite. Basically, we could place these electromagnetic rods laced with glycerite around a border, around a territory's border. So if we have like a country like Nepal or China or Russia, we could layer a city around its borders, away from population centers, but close enough to protect the population center. So if we circulate within a circumferential proximity grid of a territory within a country, we layer electromagnetic rods laced with glycerite deep in the ground, coming out with an outward structure. We could electrolyze it with outsourced electrical grid, which would electrify the electromagnetic rods, the glycerite laced rods. And the first idea would be to have a satellite which actually has its own glycerite structural capacity within a circumferential grid at the bottom of the satellite to actually emit its own electromagnetic force, or maybe be able to intercept electromagnetic frequencies coming from the rods which are embedded in the territory around a city. So basically, with a outward sourced electrical grid, electrolyzing the electromagnetic rods laced with glycerite, we could create a magnetized, electrified, programmed frequency grid around the territory which we were supposed to protect. So we could create a structure controlled by satellites. You could layer cities all around the country and be able to protect it with satellites which would be able to intercept the three layered structures of the electromagnetic outsourced frequencies, magnetized, electrolyzed frequency parameters of the rods. You could use multiple satellites to rotate shielding of the territories, or set up a structural grid around your own platoons or your own military assets to protect it against frequency guided, mechanical guided, electrically operated machinery like fighter jets, missiles, other cruise missiles, any type of mechanically operated drone or robot. It could also be used in another parameter. Where people have create a magnetic or magnetized programmed frequency grid around their territories, which only allow their citizens or those immigrants that have entered the country with a genetic code pass, or a magnetized or electrolyzed frequency guided coded pass to enter the territory. That's one idea. The second idea is electromagnetic rods laced around the border, again in a circumferential grid around a country or cities within the country, and you could create a magnetized program proximity grid. You could immerse the atmosphere around a territory with programmed frequencies which only allow your own frequency coded aircrafts or drones or military assets or civilian aviation or your own people to enter those territories. The electromagnetic rods will be deeply embedded in the earth and coming out with a high degree of length capacity from the border, around the border. So it could be at great lengths. These electromagnetic rods laced with glycerite will be programmed around a territory, and it could it could be electrolyzed from an outward energy source or part of the civilian electrical infrastructure. By electrolyzing the electromagnetic rods, you would create a circumferential orbital shield around your cities or your platoons or anything, and the electrolyzed grid would stop mechanical goods from entering because it would short circuit the mechanical goods. The program frequencies which immerse the atmosphere around a city would take control of any military asset which is not yours coming into your territory. Third of all, the magnetized thing would magnetized and frequency and electrical would straight away take out of action any frequency guided object entering your facility or your orbit or your ionosphere. It'll take it out of action. So, like, just say that the Russians have the smart missile, which can travel the Earth's atmosphere 3-4 times. It wouldn't be able to enter your territory or your ionosphere because you've already generated a huge electrical output through the electromagnetic rods or the satellite just the electromagnetic rods by themselves, where your ionosphere or your airspace has electrolyzed, magnetized program proximity grids set in place to take apart any ignition system or any frequency guided system, missile system or object or fighter jet or drone entering into your airspace. You could take control or make it into an obsolete asset. Thank you very much for hearing my idea. I hope you enjoy it. I learned science at a young age. My mum tutored me from the age of 5 to 17 on science, mathematics, and I've educated myself over the time. I've kept my head in focus with technological ideas and science and how it can be applied. I actually did a BTEC National Diploma in medical nuclear physics. I got taught by a very good teacher. I've forgotten his name. He's an Italian guy. But I was very well educated in that regard. Thank you very much. Thank you for hearing my idea.